Hi everyone, I'm Jim Tolles. I'm a spiritual teacher. I offer these videos here on my Jim Tolles YouTube channel, and I blog regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. Today I want to talk about Valentine's Day and true love. Obviously I'm talking from the spiritual perspective on this. Before I get going into this, just a quick reminder, there's more links and resources down below this video. So firstly, let's define true love and what I'm talking about, because I think it's important to expand our vocabulary to really appreciate ourselves. Human beings have a lot of different feelings and understandings. And with true love, what I'm talking about is unconditional love. I'm talking about the space of awareness that accepts everything, the space of oneness that accepts everything. In that space, it's not a feeling. It's not localized to one situation, one moment, one individual, other than it's localized to the present moment. But in terms of all of life, right, we don't have to wait for it. It's always here with us. And this is important to understand so that you can better appreciate what I'm going to talk about with Valentine's Day. Because Valentine's Day, right, this is the day when people are supposed to have romantic love and romantic professions of love. Not that other days can't be it, but like for some reason it really has to be happening on Valentine's Day, which creates a lot of stress for some people who don't necessarily have the romantic love that they want or whatnot, and how to make it all happen on that day. And of course, it's been overly commercialized, right? So now this is all about making a lot of profits for a lot of companies, and it's just really, really skewed. I've barely even touched the surface of all the different issues that we could look at with Valentine's Day, but I just want to touch on it to give you that sense of like, this is just bizarre. All right, so go back to true love. True love is here now all the time. Valentine's Day, one day of the year, you got to hit it and make it a good one. Why? Who says? So there's a really big gap, I think, in the idealized romantic love, whatever that means to you, and whatever feelings it means to you, and all the sorts of beliefs and attachments you have with romantic love and how it should look, right? It becomes so polluted with attachments and ideas that who can ever really be happy with it? And even if you are, that happiness is extremely temporary. That's why we learn on the spiritual path, we're going to keep divorcing ourselves from these attachments, breaking these connections that don't serve us, but actually, for the most part, make us feel miserable. Because even if you have the most spectacular Valentine's Day ever, tomorrow it will not be Valentine's Day. Why attach yourself to such temporary things? It's only a recipe for suffering. And additionally, we don't just attach ourselves, we try to get other people attached to us too, and to play out our stories. But no two people's stories are ever exactly the same. So there's strife and suffering there, and trying to come to agreement on, what's a good enough story. And once again, sometimes people succeed. You can have a couple of people get a similar story together, and they like it. And I want to emphasize, nobody's going to take this away from you. Nobody ever takes our suffering away from us. Even, when it's good, it's still suffering because it's temporary, because we're attached to something that's going to come and it's going to go. And the tendency is that we want something that feels good to come back. It's kind of the nature of addiction. We want a certain feeling and we want to keep having it. And so we look for the people and the substances and the situations and the places that we think can feed that experience. Now, there are legitimate ways of offering loving kindness that arise as we dissolve the ego. And they're so much more spontaneous, so much more readily available. And we also learn to not hold on to them. Some of you have had experiences of unconditional love arising just because. Maybe that's what got you started on the spiritual path. That was your spiritual opening that momentarily brought some light into the inner room, into your inner spaces, and said, hey, look at this. And then, of course, that moment passed. the curtains closed, but a part of you remembered. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe that was the start of some people's awakening, where like the light gets turned on in the room and it stays on. And that understanding that there is much deeper levels of love, loving kindness, right? In the temporary states, it is a temporary state, loving kindness. But it's definitely more readily available than our more typical ideas of romantic love, sexual love, all those types of things. And so maybe you had that experience where like you're in the grocery store, you're seated in traffic, you're in a boring office meeting, you're cleaning a diaper, whatever it was, where suddenly there's this wash of unconditional love that has nothing to do with the present moment, and that shocks the ego, because the ego is like, I am cleaning a poopy diaper. How in the world am I feeling this much love? And it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm feeling it for my child. It's like, well, no, I still love her, but no, that's not it. This is more. This is something more. And while we're not interested, as I said, we're not interested in trying to hold on to that experience, it is a taste and an understanding that there are far deeper forms of loving kindness that we can touch. And they can arise more naturally from that space of true love. As usual, I talk about inner work, and the inner work here is surrendering our ideas about romance, about sexual love, about love in general, as well as investigating them to find out where are they coming from, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to do to myself, and what am I trying to do to somebody else? Every day should be a celebration of love. But we have to understand what that truly means. Truly surrendering to the present moment is surrendering to true love. Once again, the true love that accepts all moments, but it is not, I repeat, not an emotional sensory experience. It makes space for all kinds. Usually in making space, that actually makes more room for the loving kindness we do want. And it's so weird for people to understand that a lot of these things are going to arise without trying to do them. If anything, holidays are like the exact opposite. You have to do a lot of things to get the love. And it's such a fleeting love if you get anything. 'Cause sometimes, and a lot of you aren't going to get it, right? And for some of you, that causes a lot of frustration. You're like, I wanted to have this great date, but they canceled last minute. Or my partner canceled. Or my partner asked for a divorce. What a day to do it on. But things like that happen. Or the meal was terrible. All right, the ego's got this list of things that have to go right. Destroy the list. Come down this path. Find out more about what true love is. And see what other forms of love naturally arise from that space. And in that way, as I just said, then every day becomes a celebration of love. So these are just some quick thoughts. I hope they're helpful. Feel free to stay in touch by signing up for my free newsletter down below. And have a beautiful Valentine's Day whenever it comes back around, whenever you're listening to this video. Bye.